GameFreak really did not want you to know about Arceus before its release. Or at least, they wanted to pretend that everybody didn't already know. So they did something incredibly bizarre to try to hide it. They censored its feet. Well, they censored its footprint in the Wi-Fi Plaza's footprint board. Yes, for some bizarre reason, GameFreak was so concerned about players spoiling Arceus' existence for other players that they went as far as to censor its footprint. The big mystery here is that we don't know if they ever actually decensored it. The games do have a way to turn this feature on and off, but it relies on data being sent from the server. Did the server actually send the signal to uncensor Arceus' feet, and when would they have done this? I spent way too much time investigating what might be the most bizarre feature in Gen 4 Pokemon, in hopes of answering the many questions raised by its existence. In this video, I'll explain why this feature exists, how it works, and why the mysteries related to it may never be solved. I'll even show footage of what it looks like in-game on a real cartridge for the first time. Let's get into it. Okay, so obviously the Wi-Fi Plaza is a key part to this mystery, but I did just cover it in my last video about the Japan exclusive VIP event, so I won't repeat everything from that video, but here are the key points. The Wi-Fi Plaza is a feature that exists in Pokémon Platinum, HeartGold, and SoulSilver. Official access to this feature ended in May 2014, with the termination of Nintendo DS Wi-Fi support. However, thanks to the Poké Classic Network fan server, we can still access the Plaza on real cartridges. In the Plaza, there are 2 footprint boards. By approaching one of these boards, you and up to 7 other players can stamp your Pokemon's footprints. Stamps go away a bit after placing them, with different effects depending on the Pokemon. Notably, some Pokemon simply do not have feet. Take Haunter, for example, no feet whatsoever. This doesn't mean Haunter doesn't get to have fun at the footprint boards though. Haunter still has a stamp, but it defaults to this Wi-Fi symbol. Any Pokemon that doesn't have feet will have this symbol as their stamp. Bringing our Arceus to the footprint board, we see the same behavior. But wait, Arceus has feet? And therefore has footprints, right? Why is this game acting like that's not the case? Well, through reverse engineering efforts of the Poké Classic Network developers, we learned that the server sends an Arceus flag to the game when you enter the Wi-Fi Plaza. This flag does one simple thing. It censors Arceus' footprint. If the flag is on, Arceus' footprint is visible, both on your stamp and on the board. If the flag is off, the Wi-Fi symbol shows instead. Now, we can't get it to actually show Arceus' real footprint in any version of Pokémon Platinum or the Japanese version of HeartGold SoulSilver, but the flag works properly in all other releases of HGSS. So why does this flag exist? And why aren't there similar flags for other mythical Pokemon? To answer these questions, we need to look at the timeline of Gen 4 mythical Pokemon distributions. Despite Diamond and Pearl releasing in Japan back in September 2006, the first mythical Pokemon wasn't officially announced until the following year. Darkrai was revealed in February 2007 due to the announcement of the first Generation 4 movie, The Rise of Darkrai. Shaman was revealed in February 2008, since it was announced to star in the next movie, Giratina and the Sky Warrior. Arceus wasn't officially revealed until February 2009, almost 3 whole years after Diamond and Pearl's release. This was once again due to its corresponding movie, Arceus and the Jewel of Life, releasing later that year. Now, sandwiched right between the Shaman and Arceus reveals was Pokémon Platinum's release in Japan, September 2008. All of Gen 4's mythicals were officially revealed before this point except for Arceus. As a result, there was no point in hiding anything related to Shaman or Darkrai by the time of Platinum's release. So yes, the intent of the foot-hiding flag was to hide Arceus' existence from players before it was officially revealed. Imagine a player used their action replay or performed the Void glitch and caught an illegal Arceus. If they then brought that Arceus into the Wi-Fi Plaza and decided to use a footprint board, this feature would shield innocent players' eyes from Arceus' footprint. This is honestly one of the weirdest uses of developer time that I've seen in Gen 4. Maybe even weirder than changing your encounter rate on 9/11. For those who played these games back in the day, you are probably aware that everyone knew about Arceus almost immediately after Diamond and Pearl's release. Even without official confirmation, we all saw the videos online showing the Hall of Origin event well before the Arceus movie was announced. If you don't believe me, there are a couple videos on YouTube showing off Arceus all the way back from 2006. In spite of this, GameFreak was worried about you seeing a potentially unfamiliar footprint in-game and discovering Arceus before they announced it. This is incredibly bizarre to say the least. Why on earth did they spend any amount of development time on hiding the footprint of a Pokemon that tons of players already knew existed? Did they really expect anybody to see this relatively inconspicuous footprint and start asking questions? Well, we may never know exactly why they decided this was worth implementing, but that isn't the mystery at hand here. From packet dumps near the end of official Nintendo DS Wi-Fi support, we know that the flag was in the off position in 2014, meaning Arceus' feet were not visible. The mystery here is, did they ever flip this? Were Arceus' feet always censored? What if they realized the futility in this and just didn't bother flipping the flag at all? What if they did actually flip it and it got unflipped at some point, either on purpose or by mistake? If they did flip it, when did they flip it? One would expect them to have done so when Arceus was revealed, but what if they waited until it was officially distributed instead? With many questions and no answers at hand, I set out to solve the mystery of Arceus' feet. So, what am I actually looking for? Namely, any evidence of someone bringing an Arceus to the footprint board back when the official servers were online. Could be in image or video form, but even text mentioning what was observed would be useful. If there's evidence of Arceus' footprint being visible on the board, it tells us a date when the flag was on. If there's evidence of the footprint being censored as the Wi-Fi symbol, it tells us a date when the flag was off. The latter is actually really tricky to confirm, simply because tons of Pokemon use the Wi-Fi symbol as their footprint in the plaza. There's also no way to tell what Pokemon are in your party once you're in the plaza, so evidence of an Arceus having the Wi-Fi footprint would require the player to show Arceus in their party before entering. This extra step makes it infinitely harder to confirm whose footprint is whose, since players had no reason to record their party before entering. With all this in mind, I started with the usual suspects: old blogs and YouTube videos. I actually could not find any useful footage or pictures of the footprint board from old Japanese videos or blogs, so I had to rely on the rest of the world. Unironically, Game FAQ's message boards are some of the best sources for weird and niche information on old games. People there loved asking questions or complaining about the most minute details, so I end up relying on these forums often for my research. To give an example, there are a shocking amount of topics posted by people desperate to know how to change the color of their Pokemon's footprints in the Wi-Fi Plaza. Yes, this incredibly unimportant thing that no one has cared to solve for over 15 years actually drove multiple people to ask about it on a forum. Worry no longer, I can confirm it's based on the original trainer's ID and secret ID of the Pokemon. So, no way to change it, you just have to trade for more Pokemon to get more colorful footprints. Hopefully all of these posters from 16 years ago can rest easy, knowing that this huge mystery has finally been solved. Anyways, I searched far and wide and unfortunately no mention of Arceus' feet on the forums. Really the best source of Wi-Fi Plaza footage is old YouTube videos. Going through these was such a wonderful nostalgia trip, shout out Windows Movie Maker. After going through every YouTube video I could find, which was really not many, I found one that looked like it had an uncensored Arceus footprint. I got so excited when I saw this and was like, yes dude, finally something. But that momentary joy didn't last long. Okay, I have a confession to make. This is Arceus' footprint, right? No, I lied, sorry. This is Arceus' footprint. Throughout this video, I've been switching between showing you Arceus' footprint and a similar but extremely common footprint, shared by Pokemon like Caterpie and Staryu. I was wondering if any of you would be tricked by this old footage like I was, and also if you even would have noticed a difference like GameFreak was worried about. Yes, the footprint I saw in the footage was actually this non-Arceus footprint, and thanks to 2010 phone camera quality, it's pretty hard to distinguish the two. Let me know if you did or didn't notice, and don't worry, the deception stops here. Anyways, I can't believe I got baited by what is effectively a period. Ultimately, I found no evidence anywhere of someone bringing Arceus into the Wi-Fi Plaza and using the footprint board. Not a single image, video, or forum post describing this before the servers shut down in 2014. I guess I shouldn't be too surprised, like, I'm sure plenty of people did bring their hacked Arceuses into the plaza at one point or another, but they had no reason to think it would be noteworthy to document its footprint. Even if a player noticed Arceus' Wi-Fi footprint, they probably didn't think much of it given how many other Pokemon also had it. So, is this mystery completely unsolvable? As in, will we never know if or when they flip this footprint flag? Let's take a look at what it would take to solve this mystery. Realistically, we would need older Nintendo DS Wi-Fi packet dumps or to stumble upon an archived blog post that mentions or shows Arceus' feet. Packet dumps are extremely unlikely as the intersection of people that had the skill and foresight to do so in 2010 and people that were hardcore Pokemon fans was tiny to say the least. I guess a GameFreak employee could just tell us. I know we all had uncles that worked there, so please, I beg you, ask them when you have the chance. Anecdotes that aren't from before 2014 are incredibly unreliable, unfortunately. An extremely common occurrence in my YouTube comments has been people misremembering gameplay details from their childhood, such as many people insisting they did a rival battle that is 100% inaccessible normally. I'm sure some of you brought Arceus into the Wi-Fi Plaza at some point, but I promise your memory on what its footprint looked like is not a reliable source. Most likely, we'll never get a real answer to either aspect of this mystery. I've been researching and testing this stupid feature for the last month, and I have some thoughts on what probably happened. I mentioned earlier that changing the flag to uncensor Arceus' footprint just doesn't work in Pokémon Platinum and the Japanese release of HeartGold SoulSilver. But we know from source code leaks that this functionality was at least partially programmed into the games, it just doesn't work for whatever reason. The feature didn't work properly until the international releases of HeartGold SoulSilver. Maybe when it came time to flip the flag, they realized it didn't actually work in-game and said, forget it. But the flag not working could actually be a hint at what happened. Here's my theory. Maybe the feature just wasn't fully implemented until after Japanese HeartGold SoulSilver went gold, because Arceus wasn't distributed yet. You see, Arceus was officially distributed July 18th through September 30th, 2009, after Arceus and the Jewel of Life came out. Notably, HeartGold and SoulSilver were released on September 12th, so by the time the international releases of HeartGold SoulSilver were ready, Arceus had already been distributed. I think they finished implementing the feature after this distribution and either flipped the flag or just didn't bother and left it off. Basically, they probably wouldn't have flipped the Arceus flag until 2010 to coincide with international releases of HeartGold SoulSilver. Arceus' feet are just permanently hidden in releases before 2010. Again, complete speculation, but it is the most logical guess I can come up with, and I'm tired of thinking about Arceus' feet all day. Researching Wi-Fi Plaza stuff recently has been a fascinating yet frustrating challenge. Relying entirely on 15-year-old archives is rough, to say the least. If people knew this was a feature in the game, it would have been documented at the time. Sadly, since it was only reverse engineered in the last couple years, it was never properly documented. I know in the grand scheme of things that need archiving, this is incredibly unimportant, especially compared to the VIP event I covered in my last video, but I don't know. As someone who is very passionate about archiving and documentation, these Wi-Fi mysteries were the first time I ran into truly unsolvable mysteries. And yeah, that sucks. I think it's important to talk about it and at least document what we can after the fact, even if we don't get the whole picture. And who knows, maybe talking about it sparks someone finding an old forum post that gives us an inkling of when or if the Arceus flag was flipped. I cannot believe I just talked for like 12 minutes about Arceus' feet. I am so sorry, but I hope you at least enjoyed learning about this insanely niche feature in Gen 4. Big thank you to Mythra for helping me test and document this feature. If you did enjoy this video, then please subscribe, the support would mean a lot to me. Would also love to hear your thoughts on the validity of this feature, like would seeing or not seeing Arceus' footprint have mattered at all to you back in 2009? How many of you would have even noticed that this was not a common footprint? Let me know in the comments. I've also been streaming a ton on Twitch lately, twitch.tv/etchy, so definitely drop me a follow there if you want even more Pokemon content. Links to that and other stuff in the description. If you would also like to support my research and get some behind-the-scenes posts, you can check me out at patreon.com/etchy. Thank you to all of my Patreon supporters, and special shoutouts to Frorio, Mithrostaken, Verota, and Fuzzy Hugs for your support. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.